Feel this deeply. This encounter was not a coincidence, you know it. It didn't come lightly, it came with a weight of purpose. This person didn't show up just to complete you. They challenge you. They're calling you to something greater, something that requires action. You can't wait for life to carry you anymore. Now it's you who needs to take the lead. You feel it. The time has come to step off the sidelines. There's a role just for you in this connection, and it begins when you decide to take it on, to embrace what you feel, to own what you know, to accept what you were born to do. Leading isn't about giving orders, it's about caring, protecting without suffocating, listening without silencing, guiding without losing your way. If this bond makes sense to you, then understand, you've been called to lead. Now. And don't think someone will notify you when you're ready. No one is going to tap you on the shoulder. No one is going to hand you a written sign. You've already felt everything you needed to feel. Do you know why you still hesitate? Because taking command exposes you. It forces you to stop hiding behind pretty excuses. It pushes you forward even when your legs are shaking. But this connection you're experiencing, or trying to understand, isn't waiting for safe decisions anymore. It cries out for movement. It demands positioning. There's no more room for uncertainty. You can't keep saying you don't know what to do. You already know. You just don't want to be the one carrying the responsibility. Because it hurts. Because it weighs you down. Because it requires you to let go of what is small within you. But you were chosen, not for being the strongest, but for being the one who feels. And those who feel have a duty. To not run away. To not put to sleep what's alive within your heart. This person who arrived, they don't want perfection. They want truth, they want presence, they want to see you whole. And if you keep waiting for the perfect moment, you'll realize you've lost the only chance to experience something that won't come back. Time isn't going to wait for your fear to pass. The call won't quiet down just because you're still confused. There's something in this story that moves you. You felt it since the first glance, since the first silence, since the first break in logic. And even though you've tried to ignore it, it stayed. It stayed and grew. And now you need to choose. Either you lead with courage, or you watch from afar what could have been. This is the part where many pull back, but not you. You're not reading this by chance. This is a mirror. It's for you. It's now. You need to understand what it means to lead. It's not about dominating. It's not about telling the other person what to do. It's about holding firm when everything shakes. It's about being an anchor when the other person feels like they are sinking. It's about being emotionally available. Because there are people who talk a lot but never commit. There are people who promise everything but disappear when it's time to stick around. You can't be like that anymore. Not with this person, not with this connection. This isn't a game. It's not a pretty romance on social media. It's real, it's raw, it's alive. To lead here is to say, I'm here, even when I'm scared. Even when you don't know how to love me, I stay, that's it. It's this steadfastness that builds. And if you feel it's something sacred, treat it as such. What destroys these connections isn't a lack of love. It's cowardice. It's malicious silence, it's emotional disappearance. Are you going to do this too? Are you going to be just another one who disappears when things get tough? Or are you going to be the one who faces what they feel head on? This person who has arrived doesn't want someone perfect. They want someone who doesn't waver, someone who doesn't run away from themselves. They need someone willing to open their heart, not to defend themselves, but to give. You know what they provoke in you. You felt the impact. Now show that you're up to the task. Show that this story has substance, has roots, has a voice. Show that you aren't made of doubts, but of conscious choices. Are you going to lead this, or let the opportunity die? Are you going to build with conviction or become a memory? Don't say you don't know what to do. Say you're still deciding if you'll muster the courage, because that's all that's holding you back. The path has already been shown. Intuition has whispered in your ear. The signs have all been given, every single one of them. What's missing now is presence. Your presence, with everything you feel, with everything you fear. Leading means not waiting until you're ready. It means putting yourself out there even if you're shaking. It means taking a stand even in silence. It's no longer useful to pretend you're not being called. You can't deny what this connection has caused. It pulled you from dead ends. It made you look inward. It broke you where you needed to be broken. It exposed you to what you've always avoided. And this is just the beginning. But if you don't hold firm now, you won't hold firm later, because what begins without strength collapses at the first stumble. Don't throw away what life has placed in your hands. You have everything you need, the clarity of what you feel, the memory of what you lived, and the calling that insists on echoing. Will you keep pretending it's not about you? Will you keep trying to erase what was meant to grow, or will you once and for all be who you need to be? This person didn't show up to toy with your heart. They showed up to awaken your soul. And what will you do with that? If you run away now, you will regret it. Not because you've lost someone, but because you betrayed yourself. You know, there's something there that can't be explained, it can't be defined, it doesn't fit. But it also can't be erased. It doesn't just disappear. You feel it in your body. You dream about this presence. You remember things you haven't experienced. You cry without knowing why. And that's why you need to move. This contract wasn't signed out loud. It was sealed in the invisible. And it's more real than anything you've ever touched. But it only continues if you take ownership. Own what came to be built. You don't build with fear. You don't build with silence. You don't build by running away. Love only blossoms when someone has the courage to take the first step. And that someone is you. You're not here to be a spectator of your own story. You are the protagonist. You are the one who carries the spark. But if you choose fear again, then accept the emptiness that follows, because nothing can fill what the soul recognizes and you refuse to live. This is your chance. And you know it. You've come this far because you're feeling. You're still here because you don't want to give up. You read every line as if you were recognizing a forgotten truth. And now you need to stop overthinking. Stop searching for signs. Stop trying to predict if it will work out. The truth is, you need to do what must be done. Say what's stuck in your throat. Stay where you promised to be. Have you ever imagined what might happen if you simply were true? If you simply were? No guarantees, no games, no reservations. This person before you, or within you, doesn't want certainties. They want courage. They want someone who chooses, even without control. And the only way to lead something like this is by being whole, present, awake. This is your moment to guide. There's no turning back. There's no more room for inertia. And if you're still trying to understand everything, stop. You don't need to understand. You need to respond. And response here is not pretty speeches. It's attitude. It's action. It's presence. Do you want to prove that you feel something real? Then show it. With your posture, with your commitment, with your firmness. Those who truly love don't retreat in the most important moment. They don't disappear when the other needs them most. They don't vanish to find themselves. You've already found yourself. You found yourself in this bond. You found yourself in the reflection of the other. And that's why you're scared. Because what is real transforms. And transformation hurts, but you can handle it. Because you were prepared for it. And everything you've lived before has brought you exactly here. This person doesn't want to be your destiny. They want to be your choice. They want you to see them. But more than that, they want you to see yourself. And have you been seeing yourself? Have you been looking at the truth that this connection forces you to see? Or have you been hiding behind safer versions of yourself? There is no more safety, only truth. And the truth demands that you face it, without armor, without escape, without distractions. Do you still want to live on autopilot? Do you still want to stay where it doesn't hurt, where it doesn't require anything, where it doesn't burn? Or are you going to surrender to what can, yes, tear you apart, but also set you free? Because this is the nature of what you have. It's not comfortable, it's inevitable, it's urgent, and you need to choose because this kind of connection doesn't accept half measures. It doesn't survive on indecisions. It doesn't feed on absences disguised as noble silence. If you keep stepping lightly for fear of breaking the ground, then you'll never step fully. And those who don't step, don't build. You weren't called to just experience. You were called to commit. The firmness that this connection requires doesn't come from what you say. It comes from what you uphold when everything seems ready to crumble. And it will crumble. Because true love has this power. It shatters everything that is shallow. It tears down all the masks. It wounds the places you've spent your life hiding. This relationship didn't come to comfort you. It came to reveal you, and now you feel. Even when you try to ignore it, you feel. Even when you pretend to be somewhere else, you feel. You might be with other people, you might pretend you've moved on, but deep down the name still pulses. The present still invades. The memory still screams, because it wasn't just anyone. And you know that. This person awakened parts of you that were buried. They made you look inward. They made you think about what really matters. And now do you want to move on as if nothing happened? Will you continue trying to carry on with life with this weight stuck in your chest? You've tried to silence what you feel, and still it returns. It comes back in the silence of the dawn. It comes back in the details of the day. It comes back in the gaze of someone who tries but can't reach you. You are trying to live something new, but you still haven't closed what awakened you. And that's why nothing satisfies, because you haven't embraced what you know. This person, they are your crossroads. It's where your soul had to choose, to continue being the same or to become what you were born to be. And now the time has come to stop running away, to stop saying you don't know, to stop repeating that you need time. You don't need time. You need courage. Courage to show yourself as you are, to say what you haven't yet said, to do what you know needs to be done. Do you realize the preciousness that this bond carries? Do you have any idea what can come from this union if you choose to lead with truth? But truth requires sacrifice. It demands that you abandon the passive version of yourself. It requires you to look at this person and say, with conviction, I am here, and I will not leave. This sentence, spoken with the weight of a determined soul, heals wounds that life hasn't managed to mend. But it cannot just be said. It must be lived. Because this person has heard too many words. They've heard empty promises. They've received gestures that seemed like presents, but were merely facades. They want something different. They want someone whole. They want you whole. But you can only give that if you stop sitting on the fence. Have you noticed what's at stake? Do you understand the magnitude of what has been placed in your hands? This bond is a key. It can unlock what has been locked away in you for years. But the key doesn't work on its own. It demands movement. It demands decision. Either you turn it, or you remain trapped. And I need to ask you, are you going to turn it, or will you continue to be a spectator of your own soul? You have a calling, and this calling has a face, has a name, has eyes that see you. Don't destroy this with cowardice. Don't let time erase what destiny has placed before you. Stop feeding doubts that you have already answered. Stop asking if it's real, if it's right, if it's possible. You've already felt the answer. And it didn't come with logic. It came with intensity. This person appeared to remind you of who you are. And no one else has been able to do that. Do you want to run away from this? Are you going to try to bury once again what awakens you? Are you going to live in the lukewarm so you don't take risks? Are you going to hide behind spiritual or emotional justifications to avoid facing what's within you? Enough. It's already past due. Now is the time to honor what has crossed your path, to sustain what you sparked, to offer your presence to those who awaited maturity. If you don't go now, you will spend the rest of your life feeling like something is missing. Because it is missing, you are missing, and no one can take that place for you. This story only continues if you are willing to be rooted. To be there on good days and on days when everything is shaky. Do you think you'll find another love like this? Do you think deep connections repeat themselves? They don't repeat. They don't replicate. They can't be replaced. You can try to build something else. You may even convince yourself that you turned the page, but deep down you will know that there it was different, and what was missing wasn't the opportunity. It was you, whole, you, available, you, ready to be who you always knew you were. And the question remains, will you be that person? Now it's you. There's no one else to blame, no time to waste. This story is before you, waiting to be written with presence, truth, and dedication. Will you keep postponing? Will you let this bond die from inaction? Or will you finally take responsibility to lead what was entrusted to your heart? Don't wait for perfection. Don't wait for the ideal scenario. Those who truly love show up amid chaos and stay. If you feel this message spoke to you, don't just read it, respond. In the comments declare, I choose to lead with courage, write with conviction, tell the world and yourself that you will no longer hide from what you feel. If this truth touched you, give it a like. It shows that you are awake, that you are here, present, taking your part in this story. And if you haven't signed up yet, sign up now. This is just the beginning of everything that can still be revealed within you. This journey is yours. But you don't have to face it alone. We are together. Where truth calls, the soul responds.